What's up, Addicts? I'm Michael.
And I'm Josh.
And today we are recording and talking about Arifureta Volume 1.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister because we did like the same thing with Volume 6 of Danmachi. We originally quoted, then we came back and redid it again. So, yeah, I'm here to talk about the plot, which it starts off with a group of students that are in their about junior year of high school, and we get to see them having lunch when they're mysteriously transported to a fantasy-like world that kind of operates somewhat like Danmachi and Overlord combined, because they're levels that go to like 100, but they have classes and stuff like that. Our main character is Hajime Nagamo. I'm trying to say his last name right. I'm not sure. We don't have a conversation on that.
Pretty close.
And then we have a few other, people in his class. But he is our main guy. He's kind of, somebody that is kind of laid back, keeps to himself, a bit of a anime, manga, video game nerd, and that's what he wants to do with his life. So he's just a really chilled, laid back guy that kind of just takes whatever. They get transported to this new world, and they figure out that in this world, they're actually supposed to be really OP people, and they've summoned them here to fight a battle against a demon army. And so everybody's going through, and they're getting their, what their job is and what their power level is, and it gets to Hajime, and he's literally not special at all, and he's the only one out of the class that is basically the same rank, if not lower, than the people of this world. And so...
Same class and everything.
Yeah, same class, no special things, and he only has one skill. So we get in to see that even though that these are really overpowered people, they're wanting to train them for the battle. So we get to see them go off into what they call labrynth, which works really similar to Danmachi's dungeon. And it is here that Hajime ends up getting separated and falls to the pits of hell of this labyrinth, and you get to see a new monster be born. So with that, I will let Michael talk about the rest of the characters.
So we talked a lot about Hajime and that. The second main character in this book is Yu. It's an individual with a mysterious past that you'll learn more about both in this book and later on, and kind of the connection that they have as they traverse the dungeon. And then as far as the classmates go, I could name a couple here, but for this review, they really don't matter too much. It is centered around Hajime and later on Yu and this one location. So just to mention some of them, there's like Suzuki, and there's like Kaori. Kaori is an important person that we get to see. Her featured in book 1 is like, you get to see their connection between Hajime and her in the real world, and then the alternate world that they go to, and that kind of brings the plot along, as you'll get to see when you read the book or watch the anime that's coming out eventually. Yeah, but besides that, those are the two main characters, and we could go straight on to our favorite moments.
Yeah, which if you want to know what these main characters look like, I have the sacred text with me, which if I can get them in the frame,
ooh,
voila.
It's zoomed in.
It really is. I can do manual zoom.
So yes, he next level.
Yep.
Oh, I did that. So yeah, that is the manga version, if I'm correct.
Yeah, we've read the light novel version. In the manga version, 2 volumes is equivalent to 1 novel in the light novel. But yeah,
yeah. So those fun fact. But yeah, so as far as favorite moments, there is a scene where Hajime, before he's fallen into the pit of despair, he actually is fighting creatures, but all he has is transmute. Yeah. So basically, he can, by touching it, he can change like the ground around him. So it's pretty great. He's fighting, but basically what he does is he just traps monsters. And then other people can kill him because he has no like fighting strength at this point. So I really like that section of the story of him just like being ingenious with the way of like using his powers, even at the point that he's not that strong. I really like the dungeon scene, specifically the final boss. There's also a scene with there's one floor that has an alligator, and there's the rabbit jumping around rabbit person is super cool. And then I'll probably leave it out for there so Josh can talk about some of his favorite moments.
Yeah, like Michael said, he has a lot of creativity when it comes to the tactics he uses and the weapons that you eventually see him use. That's definitely a big thing for me, but one of the things that just drew me in was the character that he kind of turns into, the personality, the kind of way he holds himself. I just love that, and it's something that even in the first book, I am already 100% like rooting for this guy, and just seeing more of his introductions to other characters, along with some like specific moments. There's a couple of you can see a lot of interactions between him and you, and a lot of those I really do like. One in particular is like one where they're having to fight a certain enemy, and he has to get really close to kind of in her direction attacking, and her response is just like, I can't believe you didn't hesitate. And it's just, I love that part. There's also like later on you get to see kind of like a downtime moment between them that is like really interesting, because you see so much despair throughout the most of the book, and that's kind of like a lighthearted moment, but you get to see still hard training, which I do enjoy because he's got a lot of goodies now at the end.
Yeah, I think really the core part of this novel that makes it great is the characters. Mm-hmm. You have Hajime, where you get to see his journey as a character throughout this book. You get to see how the trials in his life, which are great, affect his personality, and the conversations between him and you are also great, as both of the characters are fleshed out a lot in this book. And I think by the end of the book, you'll get to like both of them and actually care about what they're doing, which is the opposite of what you do for the classmates at this point.
Yeah, because I guess this is kind of leading into my rating, but just kind of like a final thoughts before I do. When you first read the book, for me, like the introduction is one of those where you start to, you're not fully committed to him yet, but you do like elements of him, or at least for me. But his classmates around him are just like, you're just like, oh, I understand his like positions on them. It's like, just get away. I don't care about you. And that's something that I guess maybe is the weaker part of this volume. Some of the side characters are, you're not really invested in them. Maybe as an overall plot, you're interested to see where it goes. But as far as the characters, they're not too intriguing at this point. But that's okay, because like we've said, the two ones that are mainly focused on is Hajime and you, and those are the ones that you really do care about, especially by the end. But for me, this book just has a bunch of stuff that I like. Like I said, the character, the way he kind of handles situations is really great. I love how, for me, fantasy is not my favorite genre, but what makes this probably one of the best fantasy stories I've read is just the fact that it has these Western elements. It has like some sci-fi stuff, and those are like some categories that I really appreciate, and those are like my favorite genres. And seeing that, not so much like done throughout the whole world, but just specifically his character, and seeing how that interacts in this world, I find really entertaining. So for me, this volume is a pure ecstasy. I think it's a 10. It's got great action in it, and the characters, at least the main ones, are really likable at this point, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
As for me, I really agree with all the points that Josh really made, and I really would recommend this series. If you've been watching our Don Machi series, or kind of thinking about picking up a light novel series, especially if you're into weapons and sneak peek. Either picking up the manga or the light novel is kind of a great experience. Obviously, the light novel is going to be further along, and I really would recommend this book. It's a good book to start on. It's got great characters and great action.
Yep.
So.
And for all of you guys that maybe have read or just looking forward to the next video, we do have a sneak peek into a new character, that we get at the very end that I just forgot to mention. But Rabbit ears.
Rabbit ears.
That's the only thing I'm
going
to say.
But yeah, so as far as my rating, I'd give this a FFA. I really enjoyed the book. Spoiler alert, it may or may not be my favorite one in the series. We'll get to that later. But I really did enjoy the book. I really recommend it. And stay tuned. More Arifureta coming to the channel.
Oh yeah, we may or may not have a backlog. It just kind of depends, but definitely we'll get those out for you. By the time this airs, probably we'll have a Danmachi video coming up. So if you guys are into that, that's more of a lighthearted discussion. We kind of have more fun with that one, I would say. So if you want to check that out, stay tuned for that. We got more, like Michael said, we got more comic, more light novel. We recently have some TV and movie stuff that's pretty hot right now, I guess you'd say. And if you want to follow us on social media or check out our podcast, those links will be in the description. So I guess we'll see you later, Addicts.
Peace.